I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
God bless the United States.
Yes.
We're coming back.
Yeah. Going to war.
That guy just cracks me up. Okay, we're going to open up with citizens to be heard, and we've got Ronnie Steiskell. And if you'll step to the podium,
You're the next contestant.
and you got 3 minutes.
Who's timing?
Is the green light on?
He's got the thing. On the button?
On your microphone, there should
Just
be a
push your
green light.
button.
Base there.
There you go. Good job.
Okay. Okay. All right. I understand that the city of Rockport wants to continue to put a storm drain and drainage into the harbor here in the Rockport Marina. And I'm totally against it because Little Bay is contaminated beyond bringing back. And Rockport Harbor will get only more sediment and contamination in there. I clean a lot of boats in there, and I've seen the water change over the last 7 to 8 years. And because of the courthouse being built, Teal Construction and Rockport City Water Department should be held responsible for some of the sediment, contamination, and debris that has run into the Rockport Harbor because they didn't put up the right booms in front of the storm drains. Over half of the storm drains were not covered to prevent debris and anything else from going into the storm drains and dumping into the Rockport Harbor. They should be, Teal Construction and Rockport elected officials should be held accountable for some of that that's going into the harbor without, stopping any of it. People will get sick, and from what I've seen of Rockport Harbor, maintenance and sidewalk road repair, they're not good. So how are they going to be able to contain and put filters in the new drainage system that's coming? So I am opposed to it, and I know there are a lot of other people, and I hope that drainage system does not get built. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move into our agenda items, approve the minutes of the meeting for January 27th, 2025. Mrs. Loney? Okay.
Can't imagine why.
Table that one and move on to approve the ACND financial reports. And Keith, do you want to
Yes.
talk about it? Or?
We put together a pretty hefty package for y'all to see, those financial reports. Janine got those out to you. So once you had a chance to review them, if you would give a pass on that.
I've been through them. I don't want to speak for anybody else. There are 2 pages in the treasurer's report that are superfluous. I will get with either you or Ann. We were guessing when she called me the other day as to whether it was 4 or 6, and I couldn't remember what it was, first 2, last 2, which I think it is. But there's no reason in you printing anything more than what really is important in that. That being said, I want to ask a couple of questions or make a suggestion. The payables report, I presume is, it's not labeled as such, but I believe that's what it is because it shows the deposits and checks, withdrawals, etc. I would like to have a 1-hour meeting, Keith, with you and Ann and learn the numbers and the coding. It will make a whole lot more sense to me If I understand it, then I can explain it to anybody that's not familiar with it up here. So if you could do that, I'm okay with blessing the way it is now, provided we get a motion to do so. But I want to learn more about what those codes mean.
Our former report kind of had a lot more detail. This is just how it comes straight out of QuickBooks.
Yes, sir.
And so I guess we'll find a happy medium between those two, and
Sure.
we'll meet with you to see what your desires are on seeing that information.
Well, so that you hear me repeat this, I don't want anybody to do anything that doesn't come out of QuickBooks. If we can modify QuickBooks to give us real clear detail, great. If we can't, then we'll figure out another avenue to do it.
Okay.
But I don't want to have any spreadsheets or anything special like that to do so.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
And my position on them, we're getting close, and we can definitely get them adapted, and we appreciate y'all.
It's a lot of info.
Yes, it is.
Giving it your best shot. Looks like hopefully we'll have a little time in the next.
And
after the next few
initially,
weeks.
like on the treasurer's report, we gave a kind of what you would say is an overview of it. Now you're getting the entirety of what the treasurer gives us, and we'll narrow that give down to you based on your recommendations as well.
And that's where we are on everything. The one thing I will say is, the AR aging was supposed to be detailed, and we keep getting summary, so. But we'll get all that squared away.
I have some specifics to cover, but it.
Yeah, we'll just,
Probably.
we'll get it squared away. We'll know what's up. Does anybody else have any?
This is
input
for the,
on
this is for the month of February, right?
At the end of February.
Yeah.
I did note, and I'd like to make note that it looks like we have several FEMA reimbursements outstanding,
Yes, we do.
up to 969, almost, yeah, 969,000.
Correct.
That's a big chunk. Any idea when we might expect to get that?
What is that, a 13-stage process?
Yes.
To get your reimbursement? I
13
think a
stages.
couple of those are about stage 10, and a couple,
109,000 is lost days.
sir.
yeah. So,
Okay,
yes, we meet with them each week and push
I know you
those issues, so, yes.
so we are getting,
Sounds unlucky.
And so that I understand your question or your statement, that's money that's already out the door as far as we're concerned.
It's out the door, we're ready for that reimbursement to flow back in the back door. That's what we're asking.
Okay.
That's 100% of it?
Yes, of what's owed us.
so far. I mean, we still haven't submitted for the Cove Harbor bait stand.
Is correct.
Anybody else? Entertain a motion to accept the reports.
I move we accept the reports as presented.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Good
Tell,
job, Tim.
tell Ann thank you.
yes.
And Janine for that matter. I know you had a help in it, so.
No, she's saying no.
Consider possible actions relating to drainage matters. I think we'll pass that one up and go into it after closed meeting. We've had some changes in the situation, and we need to discuss them and move forward. So we'll go to number 4, deliberate and possible action, propose future Aransas County Navigation District capital projects, review, revise, and prioritize proposed capital projects list. I pulled this out and dusted it off and did not change any numbers. The report that came out, if we could see it, was basically a list of what was estimated. I think we worked on that 22, 23 last.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Good, it's up front.
Yeah.
And these are the things that we kind of came up with. It was after we did our boat tour of all the facilities. And so I just wanted to bring that up. There's some things that definitely need to go first. There's some things that don't necessarily need to go first. And then the possible places to get the money. But I wanted everybody to get in front of it, get in front of the public where we see our priorities and get everybody's input on bringing some of that back. On Rockport Harbor, we still got the breakwater. We did get the cap done on the breakwater, and so that's pretty much done. That's really the money we're waiting on, isn't it?
No, we got most of that one back.
We got that one back.
That turned into a very good project. We had a pretty sizable estimate going in, but we completed that project for right at that $4.5 to $5 million range, with all the new rock and the cap.
And that got raised up to acceptable level where
Yes.
Fulton Harbor is.
So
not
that $8
at
million
acceptable.
has all been
That was just an estimate.
And
I
of course,
understand,
the
so that
bulkhead-
project's gone then.
The bulkhead in the marina, we're working through the tours with it. We've got money and funding online for the docks and piers. So that's one, I think it's gonna be a little more than 4 million. I think, what do you think, Keith? We were-
Golly,
revised that up.
in today's construction world, and the type of bulkhead it's gonna take to take the compaction that's going to take place on the upland, the engineering and the bulkhead is gonna be quite substantial. 4 might not get that done.
What would you like to see it as an estimate?
At least 5, because at the time we do this, putting in that bulkhead, we're gonna have to do some work behind that bulkhead to facilitate, the utilities. No sense building it and then have to dig back up behind it, so it'd be the time to put all that in at the same time. It'd be like building these walls and then deciding we're gonna put in electrical outlets. I mean, it's kind of the same thing. We're gonna build that big wall and let's put all the receptacles that we're gonna need that's gonna liven up that marina behind it at that time. So that would drive that cost just a bit.
You gotta do the infrastructure in there first.
Exactly.
I got a couple of questions off the format here. It may be just the columns, but what does the word secured mean with respect to the dollars that are below that?
Those were grants / FEMA that were secured that we had at one point. On the marina part, we secured a grant, but we let it go back because we weren't ready to go into it. And they assured us that that wasn't gonna be a problem. This was Texas Parks and Wildlife grant. And so
That was
we'll
several years
probably be
ago.
putting a lot more into that, but that's the concept.
Okay.
All I did was try to make it where it was readable. It came out of a spreadsheet format. I
Understood.
didn't change anything.
A couple others that looked like the same kind of possible explanation, like under navigation channel and ski basin dredging, there's a 1.8 million, I presume, although it doesn't say that. Where does it fit into the 16 and the 14.2? You recall? Here.
That are right there.
Yeah, see this?
Right, that's, none of that has been done, and these
So
are,
what is this 1.8?
So why is it
whatever?
insecure?
that one just stayed in there. So,
Part of that was the study that was done by McDonald Mott on the joint project that we
Okay.
had with Aransas County. We were anticipating getting some dredging and some changing the total volume of Little Bay at the time, but that's not the project that came out of it. Y'all basically rejected that project a meeting or so ago.
and that 1.8 probably goes over here.
So that-
I wouldn't pay much attention.
Well,
You're
I
saying-
don't think the dollars mean a great deal if
Right.
you gotta revisit them
Especially
every 5
right
years
now.
anyway,
Yeah.
so.
We're
But
going-
same deal down here for breakwater, et cetera, is just understanding it all is. But I love the idea that we've got a capital project list that we can prioritize with a moving target, so to speak.
And that was the goal. On the Leggett, we did some of that. That was already prepared and reimbursed via FEMA.
Would we have liked to have done that different? Yes. But as you know, when you're dealing with FEMA, it's back to what you had, not what you wish you had. So we got that repaired as good as we could with the money that was made available at the time.
I was out there this weekend, it's looking pretty good, so. The Blevins Channel restoration, that definitely needs to be redone and extended out into the bay, and deepened a bit to give us all the flow we can get. The Tule Creek redirected, we might have some really good information coming up here pretty soon, and a lot of moving parts in that.
Why is that on our CIP list? To me, this means that we're going to be spending that?
Not necessarily, but we're certainly gonna be pushing it, which we are, and we're a very big part of it, right?
Are you at liberty to say, or is it too early?
So, yeah, we're gonna hold off. I mean, Clean Coast Texas has been working, to pull things together, and we may be real close on getting some things done, and that should come about any day. But, and like Judy said, that's not necessarily ours, but I think it's something that we certainly need to focus on and push, because it certainly affects us, and of course, it affects us in regard to navigation in our largest harbor, which is Little Bay, and get that done. Then we go down to the nav channels, which is basically the middle of the heart of our largest harbor, which right now we can't get the bigger boats in and out. And it's gonna be important as these new developments, are coming along. The Rockport Marina people are moving, and also, Mark Uhr and Darren Casey on Grass Island are moving to get some marina facilities. Right now, our largest harbor has absolutely no boater amenities, no fuel, no ice, no gas, no beer, no water, no soft drinks, nothing. I know.
What, no beer?
That's my point.
Oh, the tragedy, the tragedy.
Y'all should be proud of me for not
Said
putting it
treasurer.
first, but,
Oh, my God.
anyway, it's, so those are the things, and, we also have an engineering person putting the master plan together for us for all of our harbors, and hopefully be able to get some
Who's that?
funding from TxDOT and,
Is this somebody we voted for, or is it?
Wait.
a long time ago. Pete, would you like to
We
remind them of where we went, that gal that came in?
We had met with Burns and McDonald, a little over a year ago, quite honestly. And Sarah had come down, and I've been working with her and with TxDOT to secure the money. And as soon as the money, I mean, y'all aren't spending anything, we are just getting with TxDOT in order to get them a scope so they can fund it.
Okay, so this funding will be for the study, is that correct?
It would be for the study and the ultimate
Construction.
Construction.
And of course, they've been sitting back, waiting
What-
for us to get all these difficulties behind us on the stormwater situation.
So what is the source of the funding? Is this gonna be a MARAD grant or RISE, or what is?
TxDOT has money in their marine section for this. They have some
Is that
leftover.
MARAD money?
I'm sorry?
Is that MARAD money, MARAD?
No, ma'am, no. I was told it was strictly small harbor funding.
Okay,
About 2 years ago, they announced they had a whole lot of funding and said, bring projects to us. And
I remember that.
That's where, remember this started 2 years ago.
I'm just trying to figure out, is this gonna be, is the ultimate source of this going to be federal money? Or is
No.
this gonna, it's state
State.
money? It's state money,
No federal money.
okay. Because that's a
Yeah,
little
it's-
iffy right now.
money's
Federal
still
this
there?
year. Keith would probably quit.
And I think what we're trying to do here is establish, do we want to move forward with these and where they fall into the priority? That's what this is all about. Finding the money's the next step. And the good news is Pete's got some of that.
Okay.
And the reason for the master plan that we agreed to get this gal to do was so we could kind of stage funding and line it up down the road as we go.
Good.
Is there any reason we have skipped over Cove Harbor?
Yeah, because it's in your district. No.
Nice.
No.
That was mean.
Jack had jumped ahead, so we jumped ahead, but.
Yeah, Jack's
no.
always thrown ahead.
And we can move that up to a #1 priority, but the bulkhead repair and replacement, which is also part of the master plan, and part of the TxDOT funding. If y'all remember, we've always talked that we can't get money for dredging and bulkheads. Well, this funding from TxDOT, which dredging and bulkheads helps transportation, and the idea is they are willing to fund some of this, and all we gotta do is present it to them in the right way.
Well, why is there only 2.5 million? Because that won't even touch what we need to spend.
That's why we got this in front of you, Judy.
Okay, what is your estimate about, at least 15 million out
Yeah,
there?
at least. I will say that the TxDOT representatives, they brought in 3 big black SUVs and took the tour of those properties several times. The most recent was about a month ago. We're not forgotten, but as you know, with the session going on in Austin and all the other things, everybody's jockeying for position for funding. But they recognize the needs at Cove Harbor. So I think we just keep pushing that,
I think I'd like
that
to-
envelope. But the list as a whole, if you think, Tommy and I have been sitting here, and Judy also on this commission for a long time. Originally, we had a long-term plan like this, and we worked that plan through. That was part of the big breakwater. We repaved all the streets, we redid the festival grounds and put in all the power. there was a whole list of capital projects, including building the dock in Fulton, which changed the outlook of Fulton Harbor. We put in many public restroom facilities, all was part of our overall capital improvement plan. And we got most of those things completed, and then we ran into Harvey, and then we're doing all the Harvey repairs, getting our facilities back in shape. I think what the chairman's doing is trying to get us back into another capital improvement goals. I mean, all of these, I guess you would say, are our goals, and we'll start working how we can start accomplishing some of those goals. But first, you gotta have a plan,
Well-
and that's I think where we're starting.
Good. I'd like to see that bulkhead repair in Cove Harbor bumped up to at least 15 million. I mean,
Okay.
2.5
Yeah.
is not gonna,
No.
that maybe would pay for the engineering.
Chump change.
And on that, the wastewater facility expansion, we have, sewage, city sewage on the north side. It needs to be put in on the south side, and that's what
You
that
know,
was all about.
that
We could
part,
get funding for that.
that part of our capital improvement, I guess you would say goal, when we started that, basically changed what Cove Harbor is. Now we have 4 restaurants, we have big multi-million dollar buildings and all that, which couldn't have never taken place without having sanitary sewer out there. You can't put a facility that handles that many people and think you're gonna stuff all that in a septic tank. It's never going to happen. So once that line got on the other side of 35, on the west side, and we put in our lift station and tapped into that, it started changing what we know as the north side of Cove Harbor. If we do that again on the south side of Cove Harbor, I think it will see a change as well, because you've got to have ability to deal with your wastewater, and right now on the south side, we just do not. So as part of a capital improvement goal or plan, that should be a part of it as well.
It's long overdue.
What do you
And
think the
15
cost
mils
will be?
seems a little high on that one.
Oh, yeah,
And that's probably what happened in the conversion, that 15 mil moved down.
got shifted.
Where did the other one come from? I don't know, but
So
anyway.
what's your estimate on the cost for putting sanitary sewer in the south?
Well, I think a lot of it's gonna have to do with what we believe is going to come on the south side in the future. Because when you build these lift stations and all the pipes that's going to handle that wastewater, you gotta have a pretty good idea of what you're gonna put in there. So I think, getting our heads together and start, I hate to say our crystal ball, but we gotta start seeing ahead of what we believe Cove Harbor, South will evolve into, and then build that future, sewer, plant to, accommodate that.
Is there places for new construction on the south side?
Not much.
Not really.
Yeah.
But it
How about
could
the-
change some things if we had sewer.
But if we go to the south of that road, like we had initially, somebody had brought in some plans to do that saltgrass area, then we can accommodate that stuff too, right?
Well, right now, we're limited to how much land we have. But I think some of those businesses and things would adjust what their overall scope of work is if they had the ability to get rid of some of their sanitary water.
Well, I mean, right now, it's mostly industrial, and it
It's
doesn't
mostly
really need,
industrial.
doesn't really need.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm done.
In my opinion on South Cove Harbor and Cove Harbor in general is that, we have got to keep those boat yards. Other than that, there's no facilities for a long way to service our marine industry. So with the industrial side of that, it will stay there. LAC Fleet's expansion could certainly use that with the things they're talking about doing, but it looks like they're gonna be there a long time. And then the marine construction south, with Derek's group that has that whole south end, they could probably use a little help there as well. But I foresee that staying industrial as we go on into the future. And the north side has developed nicely into industrial as well as restaurant and retail.
We need to get that, shipyard cleaned up. Looks pretty ugly.
Which one? There's two.
The shipyard right there next to the Paradise Key.
Oh, yeah.
There,
Commissioner DeLeon,
yes,
did you say shipyard?
yeah.
It's probably correct the other way too.
The
so.
boatyard.
Yeah, it looks like that too.
Just one letter.
I don't think that's a capital project, so let's move on. Let's see, we talked about Tule Creek, beach renourishment. Keith's constantly working on that with the GLO and.
Our biggest problem was getting a permit. Wow, who would have thought getting permits for a property that we've renourished at least 10 times in 60 years would have been such an ordeal. But we have got the permit now. We are gonna start moving forward. There will be, that's a joint project with the Texas General Land Office. And now we're looking at choosing contractors and then getting a window of time that's gonna be least impactful to our customer base. It's hard to have 18-wheelers full of dirt rolling down through past Dairy Queen. And it's also gonna be hard to get them down the beach when you got little kids with beach balls. So we're gonna try to schedule that for off-season. But who would have thought that the work is the easy part nowadays?
Oh,
The actual physical
Doesn't
work is
surprise
the
me.
easy part. The permitting has been arduous, but we have jumped that hurdle, so I'm very encouraged on that beach renourishment.
so this amount and this listing includes the reconstruction down at the very east end that was impacted by Harvey?
Yes,
Because that's in pretty bad shape.
yes, it is.
Okay, and then move on to Fulton Harbor. We've shored up that breakwater. That breakwater is probably 6 to 8 feet too short to protect our harbor and our facilities and part of Fulton that it could protect. So we really need to think about that going down the line. Those, you know, Alberto came over it. I think the other one that came through came over it. And so that, to me, and it's kind of personal because that's where I base my business.
Sure.
That's really, really, really important.
When you said 6 to 8 feet, you talking linear or?
Higher.
Higher,
Vertical.
higher.
Higher.
Okay.
That comes over on that. A couple of other things that there's not on here. One is Fulton. I would like to see us push to get the beach back at Fulton. Either doing some things that could naturally collect some of the shell and sand that builds up, which we see happening around there. Maybe even starting with that, but even look at putting more beach there. Our beach is full, we talked about that, it's packed. And on that same note, between the Leggett Channel and our fishing pier is a deep area, but it's filling in slowly. But that might be a real good place to see about getting a little more beach and expand the beaches. So those are a couple things that I think that we ought to look into as we go along. I didn't even do the math on the liability with secured grants and liability with secured and possible grants. We can do that as we get a little bit closer, but that was the end of it. And if anybody has any input on priorities, throw it in here.
I would say, in my opinion, the top two immediately should be, one is the extension of Rockport Harbor, because that's impending with the TERS and the redevelopment. And I would put Cove Harbor as number two, or maybe put them equally, because Cove Harbor, in terms of generating revenue for the district, I mean, it's over $900,000 is what we projected for this coming year from Cove Harbor.
It is, but I think what's gonna drive our priorities is which one we can get funded.
Well, that's,
I think Cove Harbor, because of the importance,
It's-
is probably number one, but when you're talking about going after the kind of dollars that it's gonna take to do that, that's a process, so.
well, when
But I
we-
think we gotta tackle them as
when
they
you and
come.
I talked to Donald Brinkman, year and a half ago, he said we could easily do Cove Harbor under the Marad Rise, but he said you'd have to do it in stages, but that is there is no match for that. No match for that, think about that. He said we'd have to do it in maybe a three-year project, so a little bit each year.
The competition
But
for
what-
those type of grants are
But we're not even going.
tough.
Well, I know, but why, we should try for it.
Well, once we can set our sights on doing some of these things instead of fighting the stormwater terrorists, maybe we can get that done, so. Pete, we haven't gone after any grants per se in a long time, and the hurricane and everything did that. I see your firm as with the ability to help us with a lot of grants. Are y'all able to help us with all of our grants, or should we look at some outside grant writing folks to get some of those things in as well?
Mr. Chairman, if I could send you a list of things that we have done.
Great idea.
I think we have gotten grants in the entire spectrum, but I would urge you to have a minimum of 2 grant funds because they don't cost you anything. They just cost you in the execution. So you would always, I would always support and urge you to have more than one and just I don't want to say a plethora, but you get past 2 and you get a little.
Well, and make sure that your efforts don't cross with theirs, and
Correct.
people are stepping
Correct.
on people's toes, so, y'all have done a good job of kind of keeping all that in line and putting our best foot forward to get these things, and I have confidence in y'all. I just want to make sure that we're going in another direction if we need to, so
Yes.
we'll count on you.
I'll suggest
Give us
another firm.
Where you want to limit and go.
Some of these grants will have to do an RFQ, will we not?
Oh, absolutely.
Correct.
We'll do it. We'll alleviate him from doing it.
Okay, any
Nasty
other input
word.
on this? No action to be taken other than just a little editing, and I'll do that and disseminate it to everybody and go from there. Everybody good with that? Once again, I've lost my. Okay. Harbor Master Report.
Oh, we got one more before it. Number 5.
Oh, Pirate Club, that's an important one too.
Come on, dude.
Sorry, deliberate possible action to approve a request from the Pirate Club to host a homecoming bonfire on September 29th, 2025 was set up in building commencing September 13th, 2025. Mr. B.
Yes, that has become, and like it was when I went to school here, it's a hell of a tradition. What I will say to the Pirate Club, we gotta learn that what enough is enough. I mean, each year, I think the class before tries to outdo the previous, and this thing is starting to get a little large, so I'd like to, them hold it back to at least no bigger than what it was, this past year. Also, need to push their cleanup a little more. They get all the big debris out, but the nails, if you think about this thing is built with pallet, and there's probably 80 nails per pallet. Now think about how many nails are left on the ground. Once we had the crawfish thing going on, we went out there with some magnets and picked up a lot of nails that they missed, and we filled up basically a 55-gallon drum of nails, probably 500 pounds of nails. So we're gonna push them to do a little better on the nail pickup. But other than the event, I think the whole community really loves it, and I would ask that y'all would approve it again this year.
Yeah, that faded out for a while. Weren't they doing it over at the Fulton Fire Department? That was the rodeo grounds at the
Yeah.
time. It's where the last ones were held, and then Sally came through and asked if they could do it there, and I was real proud to push
Yeah,
it through.
the fact is, there's a lot of places probably we can do it in town, but when you think about the droughts, we're surrounded by water on that point. The same reason why we do the fireworks displays and other things is we kind of have some built-in protections there, with Little Bay and the surrounding waters acting like a remote for this very hot event. So it is the best place for it in our
Oh,
community.
absolutely.
We don't charge the Pirate Club for the use of that?
Maybe you could put a checklist together that puts nail removal as part of the deal.
They did edit, but we're just gonna ask them to do a little better at it.
Gotta beat inspection.
Tell them you'll lend them the magnet. I do have a question,
question?
because in the environment that we're in with burn bans and the like, I'm assuming the county has to give them a permit to do that in deference to the burn ban if there's still one in place.
We haven't, and the judge, I think, is here somewhere.
He left.
He just left, he had a phone call.
But we've been a little different because of where it's at. I guess if they did want to, make it fall underneath the burn ban, but I work with them on that. To
I'm just
make sure.
saying, I don't think you can assume it's okay to
Yeah.
go past it. Have them give their blessing.
Yes.
Also, the fire departments are fully engaged on every front and fully aware.
Ashes go across the
Part of
bay.
whole thing, so it's definitely done.
Most of the time, the football team and the cheerleaders ride in on the fire truck, so it's a spectacle, for sure.
So motion,
Okay, wait,
entertain a
Jack,
motion
Jack
to
had a
approve.
question. Jack, Commissioner Cheney had a question.
Just one comment, just a comment. Where the bonfire is, if you think about it, that's the heart of the area. I mean, it really is. Little Bay is the heart of Lockport, Fulton, and all of Aransas County. And what better place to have a bonfire than in the very heart of the community? And I've always thought that, and I've always wondered why we don't deal with that as truly the heart of the community. I mean, whenever you think of Rockport, you think of first the beach and fishing and everything, and you don't do that over on Moore Street.
No.
You do that at Little Bay and everything, so, people talk about the pollution and everything that's going on and everything. It's just like the arteries coming into the heart of the community. That heart dies, everybody dies. It's just a thought I had for a long time. I wanted to express it.
Well, it's been going on for 10 years and I don't see it stopping, so, I'll entertain a motion to approve or deny.
I so move.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Harbor Master report, love coming back.
Well, I'll talk on a couple of things today. One is the boat ramp out at Copano. Golly, guys, who would have thought that the current and tidal changes would be so drastic once they took the old fishing pier out? But the way the water and the current circulates around that point has changed what happens at that boat ramp. Right now, it is silted in some over this last fall to a point that in these extreme low tide events, we're gonna have to get in there and scoop that thing out. I wanted to get out of spring break, trying to get in there and do a little bit of deepening in that. I don't want anybody to damage their boat or motor, but it is shallow, so if you go in there, be aware that it is shallow. Guys, I'm not oblivious to that thing being shallow, so everybody in town don't have to call me and tell me, I'm aware. But we're gonna get to that, just needed a couple of these fishing tournaments and also that spring break to pass for us to be able to do that.
That could be
Seems
done
like-
mechanically from the
And-
land to
and
get
that's
what we
what
need
we're gonna
done.
do.
Yeah, so that's
Yeah.
pretty
Instead of breakwater
expensive.
out there?
Yeah, there is, but it circles it.
Yeah.
That current comes around and it's bringing that sediment in, and then it gets in that calm water in there by the boat ramp and it settles out.
Well, I've seen breakwaters that go out and then kind of curves in it just to protect the
I don't know
deal.
what's
No,
gonna
it don't-
protect it
So
there.
It don't
if
work
that
that way.
happens, we might look for funding on that stuff or
You
engineering
can't
checking
put
into that.
breakwater in there, it won't work that way.
Maybe
You
we
won't.
could lobby for it.
It don't work that way like the way you said.
You don't?
No, hell,
What does it work like?
the current.
Well, it goes out
He's
quite
the
a
one
ways.
talking about the
Come around,
current.
they're gonna stay
Yeah,
inside.
he's the one talking about the current. I'm not talking about the current.
But it is starting to bring that sediment in, so we're gonna deal with that. The next thing is, there were some new power poles, nice, pretty new power poles installed at Cove Harbor. Oh, guess what? They hit a 10-inch water main.
Oh, electric power.
Who
I'm
put the
sorry.
power?
Electric power,
Power poles with the
AEP.
Okay, so they
But
corrected it.
they went through a big water main and we had water flowing. I'm sorry to the restaurants and all the customers that were impacted. That was last Wednesday. We got that repaired. Thank goodness the water department of the city of Rockport really worked hard. They were out there till almost midnight, 11, before we finally got that restored. But I will say, even AEP needs to call the dig number.
Didn't we have a water problem over here in Fulton, by, the lighthouse inn, they were out of water?
No, they had a pipe, a drainage pipe separated in the joint, and it's allowing the rainwater to basically blow out some of the land That's being contracted by the town of Fulton and the city of Rockport to make that repair.
City of Rockport don't wanna get involved in that. They said that belonged to the city of Fulton.
We'll let them argue it over.
But nobody likes to be the one that picks up the maintenance bill. We all know that, but that is being done. Also, the bait stand that we're doing through a FEMA project at Cove Harbor, the concrete got poured, so that's gonna keep moving forward. And now, I wanna talk a little bit about our spring break.
Yeah.
Wow, is all I can say. The ladies and gentlemen of our staff that work through this have to be commended. We put a lot of people through there. There's a picture of the lines and Arthur down below, because my knees are so bad, I kind of begged out this year on directing traffic. So Arthur took my place directing traffic.
I got a problem with that. How come you don't have a safety vest or a yellow vest?
You can see it,
Oh,
that
it's too late,
This
too
is a
light. You need
depiction.
something darker.
It's a depiction.
Yeah.
but the fact is, moving that traffic, not all of our citizens of the state of Texas are friendly drivers. So, if, without somebody out there directing traffic, telling this lane to stop and the other lane to go to make that thing flow, Arthur did a great job. I will say, Janine and Crystal worked the line outside of the booth. We had 2 of our normal booth attendants in the beach booth throughout the weekend, but these ladies walked the line selling daily passes. Janine has one of these fancy watches that tracks how many steps she has. All I can say is I'd have to be hospitalized if I would have put in as many steps as she did. On Saturday alone, she put in 10 miles walking up and down the route selling passes.
39 miles that week. 39 miles the whole week.
No wonder you're looking so.
Fit.
Virile and fit.
But
Maybe we
I
need to
will
put
say
ourselves
that's the kind of dedication that these staff members put in. Also, to the harbor crew, many of them spelled in to help the beach group, but I can tell you the boat ramps were just as full as well. So basically, the pressure that was put on the ACND staff during these type of weekends is unparalleled. If you look at the numbers that I have on the board, it's pretty astonishing. Our biggest year was in 2024. We dropped just a little this year. I think part of the reason is the beach was just so full that a lot of people parked up here around the harbor and up towards Parks and Wildlife, walked to the gate, and they had golf cart shuttles shuttling people in. So instead of getting in the middle of all that mix, they just walked to the gate, caught the shuttle, and went down. It did hurt our overall numbers just a little, but if you think about passes sold, and you think about the number of people, we estimated over this week, spring break week, we put 49,918 people on the beach. That's 329% increase to what it was in 2019.
It didn't sink.
We're probably a little bit low. I'm gonna have to put some more sand on that beach renourishment because there was a lot of people on that facility. On Friday alone, the ladies at this counter sold over 300 passes on one day at this counter.
And a lot of that increase is because of the Crawfish Festival.
Yes.
Being there last year for the first time and this year, so.
As Jack mentioned, that is kind of the heart of, if it happens in Rockport Fulton, it's usually gonna happen down in this corridor, and especially Rockport Beach. And though some of the patrons were a little snooty about the line, many of them love to get up to the booth and shout out where they came from to let everybody know, hey, I came from San Antonio, I came from Austin. We get to see people from all over our state that come in and enjoy the hospitality that is brought to them here at Rockport. But all the ladies and gentlemen that work so hard in their dedication to not only the NAV district, but their community to make this as popular as they could, cannot be undersold. And that's gonna wrap up my report for today.
And yet, we don't get no hotel motel tax,
No.
Not a drop,
None,
and we're bringing all these people in.
that's correct.
nada.
I'm sorry, man.
Well, we've got some things we can kind of get going on that. On the chairman and commissioners reports,
We don't have nothing.
ACND environmental and safety issues in Little Bay and other district properties. The one thing I wanted to bring up here was, our engineering RFQ. To be eligible for federal grants and a lot of different grants, you have to have a pool of engineering firms that you can pick from that have been vetted. Is that a
That
good
is
good term
correct,
for
and
it?
it is a hell of a vetting process.
Keith
It is.
brought it out. I met with the judge a while back, and they were just putting out their RFQ because they were in the exact same boat as we were and lost their engineering companies that were in a vetted pool. And we asked if we could get involved with it. The Department of No over at the county, which would be legal, said no, we couldn't just put our name on it. So they did, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Tuggy, they said we could use their document, no problem. And we'll also integrate that with our RFP for the stormwater pollution protection stuff and make sure anybody that gets on that is there. But I think all we need to do is change the names and put it out, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and we approved to jump onto the accounting side, and without objection, I'd like to just proceed and go ahead and put it out if nobody's got a problem with that. And of course, Keith will be involved and get to the bottom
Yeah,
of it.
on these type of RFQs, there's 70 pages of just, you'll do this and won't do that.
Yeah.
In one of those contracts, if you can even believe that.
And the good news that that work's already been done, and all we gotta do is change the names and put it out to the exact same people, and a few more is how I see that happening.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
To get that done. So, that's really the big one for me. We're gonna talk about some stuff when we come out of close. Anybody else got anything?
Just one quick item, if you've been down to Cove Harbor, the dry stack, Hatham is now expanding into that building that we approved several years ago. It looks like they're getting close to pouring concrete. They've been putting down forms, I know.
A lot of work to make that stable enough to carry
Yeah.
the weight that will be on that slab. So
Exactly.
that's not your everyday.
No, I understand.
Not your everyday driveway slab, for
Well,
sure.
the pilings alone took, what, a couple of weeks at least, didn't they?
Yeah.
All rusted out.
Yeah, so
Okay,
that's
anybody?
progressing.
All right, well, let's move on. Walter? Okay,
No,
press
Walter.
questions is the next one. And at this point, we will recess this open meeting, conduct a closed meeting pursuant to Texas Open Meetings Act to conduct a private consultation with our attorney, deliberate regarding real property, and to deliberate personnel matters. Following the closed meeting, we will reconvene, and we have one item regarding drainage matters. So with that, we'll close the open session. Thanks for all coming.
Thank you.
we're gonna bring the, closed meeting to a close, and we are opening the open meeting, and we have no further action on item number 1, so, I'll, entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll
make a
motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye. Aye. But we've done it. As long as I've been here, we're gonna keep doing it.